Sasha and Naomi are out there. And everyone
Allegedly
thinks,
are out there.
everyone thinks that they're going back. There was someone had a rumor out there a while back that Sasha had gotten her release. Nobody ever confirmed that she did or didn't. So we kind of take that to mean she's still there. But let's just pretend that they're free agents. But you're Sasha. Forget about Naomi. It doesn't matter. I think she only had like a couple months left on her contract anyways. So, it didn't matter. I think they were going to renegotiate it. But Sasha had a few years left. And but let's say you're Sasha Banks and you can go to AEW, you can go to WWE, or, I guess you can go to Stardom if you want, or somewhere else. But, let's say you're choosing between AEW and WWE. You've got great money offers from both of them. So the money isn't a factor. But
wait, that's BS.
What?
That the money isn't a factor.
Well, no. Let's just say for the sake of this conversation,
that they're giving me equal offers.
You're getting $3 million.
Preposterous.
You're getting $3 million from AEW. You're getting because obviously WWE can afford to outbid. No matter what.
Yeah.
But let's just say, that the decision isn't necessarily about money. The decision is about where you're going to be happy, where you're going to have a chance to be a bigger star, where you're going to be presented better. Because I know that's a big factor. That's why they left.
Right.
Because they didn't like the booking.
Right.
So if you're watching, let's say you watched a month of AEW, Dynamite, and Rampage, and you watched a month, particularly the last month, of Raw and SmackDown, and you're Sasha Banks, where would you want to work?
I find this whole phase of Sasha Banks fascinating right now because you saw these pictures from C2E2 where she's standing 10 feet away from everybody who wants to take a photo.
Someone that paid $130 for a pic.
She wants to be a celebrity, but she doesn't want to be around people. It's fascinating to me on many, many levels.
CM Punk.
And she's all about the money.
Yeah.
I think. Now, I mean, look, she said that she's wanted to go to Japan and she's wanted to, wrestle, but let's face it, if I'm her, I go back to WWE 9 times out of 10 right now. Yeah. Bigger platform. If Triple H will let me work in Hollywood and let me be able to plug it on the air, I'm all going to WWE. It's still Coke. It still has the most shelf space. It still gets my name out there more than anything, and it has a lot more fans. I'll have better matches in AEW, maybe. If I'm not doing talking segments with Britt Baker, who's probably trying to cut my legs out at the time.
How often are you going to be on TV?
Exactly that. I could go to Japan and work in front of 200 people and and everybody will say how great I am in a 5-star Grand Prix or whatever. But I mean, I don't think this is that tough of a decision for Sasha Banks.
Bayley came back at SummerSlam, which is, I think, 11 days ago. I think she's had more TV time in the last 11 days than any AEW woman has had in 2022. Like, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but probably not that much.
And also the person who had the most faith in me is now running WWE.
Exactly. There's that too. This isn't so much about Sasha, although, Sasha will get the clicks.
You're just talking about if any free agent woman was watching and WWE had an interest in them.
It depends what you want, right? Like if you don't, and granted, there's a lot of things about WWE, and I know Vince is gone, but a lot of the people are still there. And the environment, we're hearing a lot of better things now, but I don't know. You would know a little bit better than me because you know some people there. But but I just think that if I watch both shows, women are treated as an important part of the show on WWE.
Yes.
And in AEW, it feels sometimes like they're put on the show because they know Tony knows he needs to put women on the show.
Or he'll hear about it.
But he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. And my thing, and I said this in our Slack group today, and you know what? And I've kind of danced around this, maybe on this show, maybe in other discussions. I almost think AEW would be better off not having women's wrestling if all they're going to do is half-ass it. And I will say the show itself would be a better show without women's wrestling on it. I'm saying this as a fan of women's wrestling and as someone who likes the women's wrestling in WWE.
Yes.
Unless they want to say, you know what, we are going to make this division. We're going to give them, 40% of the TV time. they're gonna have 2 or 3 matches on every show, and you know what? The show's gonna suffer for a little while, but it's gonna get better, and these women are gonna get better. And 3 years from now, this is gonna be a big part of our company. And that's what WWE did years ago when the whole give Divas a chance thing that people joke about now. There was a couple struggling years there where some of these women weren't quite up to snuff, but now they're, like not all of them, but
Not all of them, but
no, but
no, you make a good point. But it's also one of those things where now you kind of know going in that, hey, I'm at least going to get a chance to be taken seriously.
yeah,
I mean, it's better than it was because Vince could have always come in one day and go, I want to, and I want lingerie models back, bring them in, teach them a few basic moves. They'll have the character down and come in. I mean, look, there's always the chance that, you get those meetings where they go, well, who would want to F her? She's not pretty enough to be our champion. There's always that chance because WWE is more about sizzle than steak sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and there is that duality of women's wrestling where there are certain aspects of the sexual nature / cosmetic type of thing that go into whether or not a division is hot, depending on how your fandom is and how they are trained. I think my problem with AEW right now is I think it's one of those things where Tony builds out a show and goes, oh yeah, I need some women's segments on here.
yes.
And I don't think that the problem necessarily is wrestling necessarily either, because I think you have enough talent in there to do it. I think there's a lot of issues that a lot of these women have never cut promos in their life working the indies. And I think it shows. I think they can't have, I don't think they've had a comfortable personality in front of the camera. I think they've been called great on the indies. And so people bring them in and then they can't talk.
Maybe that's where Madison Rain's going to help because that's probably her strength.
Maybe I'm a little week 2 of Madison Rain.
Well,
I have a concern, and it's not about wrestling. It's about character and a change that they made on her from Rampage.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to have that discussion because, like I said, they're obviously never going to get rid of women's wrestling in AEW, nor do I think they should. But
they need to be more intertwined with stables, and they need to be more prominent part of stables. Yes. I mean, they can't just be afterthoughts. They can't just. I mean, Anna Jay and Ty Mello. I assume that's to get rid of her former married name.
Oh, okay.
I thought so. I thought I don't know if her first husband was the last name Conti, but maybe she was. Maybe he was. But they are fifth and sixth wheels in these things, as opposed to being the number 2 in a stable, or even the number 1 in a stable flanked by guys. And I think, I mean, I like all women's stables. Don't get me wrong; they're fine. They're good for a promotion. They're good for depth and stuff like that.
Even the baddies now are going to be like, like have a bunch of dudes in there too.
It's one of those things where it's like, we just need better presentation of these people. And you do need better wrestling at times. And the thing WWE has in spades is they have a lot of good workers at the top of their women's division. They don't have top to bottom a great women's division per se, but the people at the top are very, very good. And it helps bring up the people who are in the middle of the division and makes you think that they're probably a little bit better than they are at times.
When is the last time a women's match opened Dynamite? I don't think
it was only a couple. I thought it was a couple weeks ago.
Really?
I thought they opened with like a women's title match or something a couple weeks ago.
Oh, if that's true, I'm drawing a blank. They also, like, when has there been like a big, like an interview segment like we saw on Monday with women in it that set up a big match later on in the show? Like it never happens.
Well, there was an interview segment, but I mean, it set up something for later. I mean, there've been a couple with Thunder Rosa and Deeb and Thunder Rosa and Britt that have been really well done at times, but there's nothing even close to what they did.
No, and they don't. I mean, the thing is, the problem is it's not even women. Like they kind of don't do that at all with the men sometimes either.
No, like the men are lacking promo time because we want to get to the wrestling because we have this live crowd we have to appease.
Ricky Starks is a great promo and he gets like a 15-second, and he talked about that in his promo last week. I only get 40 seconds on the mic and that's going to change, and so tonight you got 15. You
It
know?
changed.
Yeah, it changed.
He told the truth. He was a babyface.
Yeah, exactly.